From Data to Insight is the name of this particular video, and the idea is very simple. From the raw data to use machine learning and develop the insights in less than 10 minutes is what we are trying to attempt in this particular video. The origin of this idea started with some of my friends who are the domain experts, who are the domain managers. They are the decision makers at the strategic level. They realize that the data of the past that they have got with them, the applications of the machine learning and AI could be absolutely brilliant. There will be a lot of things available in the applications, through the applications, and using those insights, it will be a far better effective strategy to have the new decisions taken up. Well, to develop the insights out of data, you require to build a model. And to build a model, you require certain basic paraphernalia, like maybe R or Python or any of those particular platforms. Now, to learn at this stage, these programming languages or the programming ways was not a kind of a suitable option for them. So the idea was always hanging that if someone can give me something with which I can have from data to insights using the best of the best tools and techniques available today, that would be a great thing to happen. That will be a kind of a God's given gift to the mankind. Now, learning a new language is something which is going to be always difficult. When I say language, I mean to say the programming language is always going to be a kind of a daunting task. Even attempting by so many people has not really resulted into a favorable outcome. Looking at the plight, looking at the market response to this particular specific situation, Microsoft actually has come out with a brilliant tool. And I have seen the evolvement of this particular tool for a long period of time now, and I realize that this is the exact kind of a tool that most of the business domain experts, those who would like to use the power of AI and ML, they can use it with this. The tool I am referring to or talking about is Power BI. So what we are going to be doing, we'll take two examples. We'll take two completely different data sets. With these particular two data sets, with the help of Power BI, the recent avatar, the most evolved avatar in May 2020, we will use that particular tool and we'll try to see from a perspective of a business manager that from data to the insight has actually become an extremely simple process. Once you get insights, how do you use them? Derive benefits out of the business is, of course, something that people will be always interested in. But to come to that particular stage, to get those particular results, is no more difficult. We will, in fact, have those particular results in under 10 minutes in each of these particular cases. And if required, I will take a couple of more examples, maybe further more examples which, if you can share the data, maybe your examples as well, and we will talk about in our next videos. If required, we will talk about how it can be extended further as well. But let's start. You will require Power BI to be installed on your machines. Power BI is a pretty freely available software. You require Microsoft, Microsoft sign in for that. You require Microsoft account for that. So if you have got a Hotmail account, that's perfectly all right. Or maybe if you have got a business account, that should be okay as well. I will take you from that particular point onwards. So what we are going to be doing now is very simple. Let's start with that, and therefore I will take you over here to what is called as the Power BI site. So let's go to that particular site, and from here you can navigate and can decide to install the Power BI either for on your local machine, or you can have a Power BI service as well. Well, both of them are equally good. I would still prefer to have this particular Power BI installed on your machine, but if you prefer to have that, so you can have a Power BI service used as well. In fact, let's go over here. Let's go to Power BI download. Okay, so you can download the suitable version for you. So you can use the Power BI desktop. Well, you can go to the advanced download options, and maybe you can choose your own versions of Windows that you have got, 64-bit, 32-bit, and etc. etc. So you can download those particular things over here. So here is where you can select the language. Please download it. Alternatively, if you are using a Mac or Linux, in that case you can always use Power BI service as well. Now that is not a point of our discussion, and therefore I will not be really spending our time on that. Now once you install this particular Power BI, down in the description box of this particular video, you will notice that I have given two separate data sets. I will introduce you to the data sets. Let me start with the first one, and that particular data set I am calling over here the data set as Cashews data set. Now it's a data set which is about a supply chain management data set, about the quality, about the suppliers, about the transportation, etc. And the database has been floating around on Kaggle. So of course the details about the Kaggle are also given below or there, where you can find this data set. I have slightly modified that particular data set, and the modification is I have just formatted it in a Excel. I have created a table range, so that means I have selected all this particular data and I use this particular one as format as a table. That becomes much easier, and the basic data over here is like this. We have got the date on which the shipment was received, the truck ID, number of bags that were carried by that particular truck, the net weight of the consignment, the origin from where that crop of the cashews have come from, the supplier who has supplied this particular consignment, the moisture content. I suppose moisture is one of those particular quality criteria which is required over here. Nut count, that means how many nuts go in 1 pound of cashews. Now if the nuts are big in size, there will be less number of nuts. If the nuts are small in size, there will be more number of nuts, and that actually tells you the size of the nuts. Outturn is what we will define over here as our yield. In fact, from the point of view of a business, I would like to have the highest possible outturn. The outturn, of course, is followed by defectiveness. How was a portion was defective in this particular consignment. The price, unfortunately the column is blank. Had that column been filled in, probably we would have had a lot of more insights, but we don't have it, so I will keep it as it is. And the year, month and day segregated, which we could use it, even though in the first attempt we are not going to use that. The last one, of course, is the average weight per bag. Now, well, I am not from the cashew industry, but I have been aware of the cashew things in over there. Any cashew manufacturer or the one who is a processor of the cashews, any processing house, normally has got lots of suppliers, and lots of suppliers supply from lots of different locations. The cashew tree is quite big. It's a plantation. It's quite big, and therefore, depending upon the certain areas, the cashews are procured. Certain areas are known to be good. Certain areas are known to be not so good. By the way, when you talk about cashew, you talk about two things: cashew apple, that particular fruit on the top, and a cashew nut. While we are talking about over here cashew nuts. Now, this is our data, and we want to have as much as possible insights about this particular data. So let's try to have our things built with that. So what we are going to do now next is very simple. We will have this particular data closed. I will start with the Power BI desktop. By the way, this is not going to be a Power BI training session. I'm sure you will find plenty of videos on Power BI otherwise. This is going to be purely application of Power BI in getting insights within 10 minutes time. So I will not take you through every aspect of Power BI. I'm sure that's not going to be that difficult as well, but we'll go into the enough number of features of Power BI which can make us quite expert in data to insights in under 10 minutes. Now, by the way, once you have this particular Power BI installed, you will be logged in, your name will be over there. I will not use this particular flash screen. I will connect to the data. Now, first part is basically how the process will work is like this. We will connect to the data. We will create our visualizations or insights. And of course, we will finally have what is called as inferences derived out of that. So the first part is you need to connect to the data, and connecting to the data is going to be much straightforward. So click on the get data, and you have got a variety of different ways in which you could connect as well. Since our data at this moment happens to be in Excel, let's connect to Excel. Let's choose our data set, which is Cashew Final. Okay. By the way, we are not yet going to have the data modified and etc. We will take the data as it is, and within the as it is data, we'll try to see what is best that we can do. Well, it's a table format, as I mentioned earlier. It shows me how this data looks like. Good. I load it up. So my data is loaded up, and my columns, both numerical as well as categorical, will come on the right hand side over here. So these are all the columns that I have got, and perfect. My data is over here. So let's start. First of all, let's say we are completely new to the business of cashews. We would like to find out what's the seasonality of this business, how the business is seasonal, which months it's more, which months it's less. We know our consignments, right? We know our consignments of several years. So therefore, we will actually use our date, and we'll use the net weight to find out how the business actually operates. Now the best visualization for that obviously is going to be a line graph. I make a little bigger line graph over here, and it asks me, well, what is going to be on the x-axis? So on the x-axis, I would like to have data. Fine. So we have got over here the data on x-axis. Data has come in year, quarter, month, day, etc. The values we want to see, of course, let's take the net weight over here. So let's take the net weight. If I wanted to have anything else, I could have put it over here as y2. That means I could have had dual axis graphs in over here, which I don't want to. Now I have got over here a simple graph, which I will like to expand it now. I would like to get it on a quarter basis. I will like to go back. Basically, I will go upwards. Okay. I would like to get it on the quarter basis. I would like to get it on a monthly basis, and then I will like to get it on a daily basis. Now look at a very simple situation. By the way, there are two hierarchy expansions over here. This opens up consolidated for all the months or all the days, while this opens up year, quarter, month, week, day. If you have got hours, etc., it opens it up in that format. Now, having opened this particular data tells us a very interesting thing. Generally, the cashew season seems to be starting around March, beginning of March should be, and it ends somewhere around end of May. Here, let's see the second year, March 4, and ends over here in May. Well, here again, February 27, the end of February. Here it ends up over here in May. So the business seems to be a very, seasonal. Only in the months of February to May, I think the things are operating. In between the year, there seems to be absolutely no movement. Fair enough. I didn't know about it. If you are from this industry, this wouldn't be a news to you. This would be something which is known to you as well. But I would like to have quick glimpses of this particular data, and then we'll go into the insights. What causes what? Okay. I would like to find out how many suppliers do we have. Yeah. Seems to be we have got plenty of them. What I will do over here is, believe me, it's a brilliant one, and it's improving, it's evolving. When I tried it out maybe around a year back, it was not as good. When I try it out now and let it train itself, I tell you it's brilliant. This is known as question answer. What I did over here is I did not leave the, okay, I will take a new one now. So I will go to the question answer over here. So the question answer comes up. I will make it small because I don't want a lot of things in over here. And what I want to ask over here is, I don't want to make a visualization. I want Power BI to make visualization depending upon what I want. What I want is, I want total number of suppliers. How are my suppliers defined? I have got over here the suppliers. So what do I want to say? I say total suppliers. So I will ask a question. If you want to ask in English, it's okay. Otherwise, shorten also is okay. I say total. Then I say supplier. I say total supplier and it just knows what I'm asking. So there are 133 suppliers I have got. Count of suppliers. I could also use, I suppose, count. By the way, the questions that you ask, you can keep these particular questions, and as you go further, I think it tries to understand how your questioning is coming up to be. Well, I have not tried it out, but I am sure it is happening. Well, what I will do over here is, now that I have got number of suppliers, I say Control C, Control V. I will ask the same question saying that how many locations from where I am getting my supplies. How do I know the locations? It's called as origin. So instead of suppliers, I put it over here as origin. I say total origin and it tells me that I have got 88 places from where the cashews are coming. Brilliant. I tell you, it's brilliant. If you put the right question, it is going to formulate what you're looking out for, and once you get used to it, I tell you, if you have got, I have not tried it out, but I'm going to try it out immediately in near future. You can even shoot your question with the speech to text engines. I will try it out and I will put another video about that at a later stage. So I got these particular two things. I have got 133 suppliers. I have got 88 origins. Now I want to find out not one. There are three quality measures. Let me find out about two, and let me find out the quality of the variety of different origins. In other words, let me explain you what I want. What I want is this: moisture. Moisture content or moisture is one of the important quality factor. I would like to find out average moisture of my entire consignment lot that has come up, and I would like to find out average moisture separated by different origins. So the place with the highest moisture should be on the top, place with the lowest moisture should be on the bottom. So I know whether the moisture of certain locations is higher than certain other locations. And by the way, I can still do that with a normal drag and drop, but that's too passe. Let's talk about how to do that in a questioning way. So I start with a question. Let's formulate a question first before we start with that. Let's make it bigger. Okay, let's formulate a question. The question that I want to ask over here is, I want to find out average moisture to begin with. Average is a statistical term. I think this fellow should understand. So I say over here, average moisture. By the way, how do I tell what am I looking out for? I think that has to match with your column headers. So I say average moisture. Okay, so it's over here. Average moisture is 13.07. But that's not what I'm looking out for. I want to have a complex metric over here. I want to have average moisture by origin. I want to have average moisture by origin, and it has given me that average moisture for O2 origin seems to be 19.1. Average is 13, much higher than that. O5, O68. So like this is what I'm getting in over here. So a pretty simple understanding. While there are certain places where the moistures are much lesser, a kind of just to get a feel of that. Now, like what I have got over here, the moisture, let's try one more thing out. I will say Control C, Control V, and I will use the same graphics. I will use the same graphics over here, and I will like to get what is called as defectiveness. So rather than using moisture, I will say defective. So average defectiveness or defective, whatever that particular term is. So I get over here what is called as the average defectiveness that I have got. Hey, by the way, there is no end to that. I can look at each and every of the element over here and make a beautiful dashboard. And you might have noticed, if I were to do that without talking, probably this wouldn't have taken more than 3 or 4 minutes. It could have given me a kind of a understanding which is going to be essential for that. But that was not our intention. Our intention was, how does this particular business run? In other words, what is the most important thing for this business? As I mentioned earlier, people in the cashew industry, they say higher the outturn, better is the yield, better are the things. So what I want higher outturn. So what I want is this. In my data, what decides the outturn is anything in my data actually drives the outturn. In other words, outturn depends on what? Of course, outturn is higher, outturn is lower. So outturn is decided by which factors? To take an example, is outturn is a property of a supplier, that certain suppliers have got higher outturn, certain have got lower outturn, or is it a property of origin from where the cashews are procured, or is outturn a function of moisture, more the moisture lesser the outturn, etc., or is it a function of defectiveness, or is it a function, we can try it out, whether in the month of March, when the consignment is arrived in the month of March, outturn is different, and when the consignment is arrived in the month of May, outturn is different. That means outturn is driven by what is my basic business problem. If I know them, I will control them. I will take better decisions on them. Now, let's take a new sheet. First of all, before we go ahead, let's give a name to this particular sheet. Let's call it basic sheet. Let's call it a basic sheet over here, and let's keep this particular sheet as it is. I'm sure, please try it out, variety of different things as well. But since I am more interested right now in the insights, I am going over there. So I will start a new sheet over here, and let's use this particular sheet. Let's call it over here as insights. Let's call it over here as insights 1, and insights, of course, will one or two we will say it later. And what I do over here is I will use machine learning without writing a single line of code. By the way, those of you who have done machine learning, I'm sure you are aware of it. It's a cumbersome process. You start with the data, you clean the data, impute the values if you require, you find outliers, you find out distributions, you find out whether they are all right, you find out if there is something which needs to be transformed. Do you need to have one hot encoding? In other words, if you are from the field of machine learning, you know a lot of processes are going to be involved. Here, we want to have a machine learning model by dragging and dropping. That too, it should not, by the way, I will put it this way, it should be reliable, because if it is not reliable, I am neither interested in that, nor I am going to ever touch it by a barge pole. So it should be reliable, and therefore I would like to just see how it is. This is, of course, pretty recently added up. There is a visual over here, and that particular visual says key influencers. Just click on that. You will get a blank key influencers page, and what it says is this. It says, give me what you're looking out for. Like, for example, we are looking out for outturn. It says, give me what you're looking out for and tell me what things do you think are making impact on that particular one, and I will tell you which one of that and to what extent. So since we are looking out, by the way, our machine learning fraternity must have understood this, that give me the dependent variable. But for our business management decision makers, I will not make any big vocabulary over here. Simple. What is my business problem? My business problem is higher the outturn, better it is. So tell me what is driving my outturn to be higher. So since I want to find out outturn to be higher, I will take over here outturn and put it over here in analyze. Analyze outturn. But you can't just analyze outturn. That can be done at an earlier stage. What is highest outturn, lowest outturn, which origin, which supplier? That is something which is a normal standard EDA, exploratory data analysis. But I want to find out outturn depends on what. So I have to now say, okay, outturn may depend upon, since I think I know, I say outturn may depend upon defectiveness, may depend upon moisture, may depend upon origin, may depend upon supplier. Okay, let me start with that. So I say that there are possibly 4 factors. Tell me out of these 4, what do you think the outturn depends on? It has built a model. Believe me, it has built a real good model. Having spent so many years in machine learning, I can tell you it has done practically everything that a professional model builder would have done, it has done. It has done that. Let's see the results first. What it says is that you give me 4 things: defectiveness, moisture, origin and supplier, and Power BI is telling you, you have given me 4 things, but actually the only one thing that has an impact on outturn is only one, and that is the defectiveness. When the defectiveness goes down to 6.03, outturn increases. These numbers over here are, I'm sure we'll keep those particular numbers for the moment. We will talk about them in a detailed manner later on. But what it means over here, I'm sure you have heard about what is called as coefficient of correlation and the coefficients as such. We shall talk about them later. The meaning over here is this: what influences outturn to increase, and what influences outturn to increase is the defectiveness going down. Higher the defectiveness, average outturn is lower. So defectiveness goes up, the outturn comes down. Defectiveness goes down, outturn goes up. And well, by the way, I am sure, like the Sherlock Holmes situation, you will say that, so what, I knew that. Perfectly all right, no problem. But I have got another problem. If the outturn depends on defectiveness, what does defectiveness depend upon? Is it because of supplier? Is it because of origin or a moisture, or maybe moisture, or maybe number of nuts and etc.? So what does it depend upon? So therefore now I am going to take one step further. Understood. What is understood is outturn depends upon defectiveness, but defectiveness depends upon what? So we will come to this particular visualization a little bit later. Let's go and start with one more, and let's call it over here as insights 2, where we are interested in doing same thing for the defectiveness or the defective data that we have got. So we'll get it done over here. So we say defective comes in over here to the analysis, and what comes in over there is moisture, supplier and origin. Okay, now the cat is out of the bag. Actually, look at a very long shot. Outturn depends upon defectiveness, but defectiveness depends upon moisture content. If the moisture is more than 11.96 units, if moisture is more than 11.96 units, defectiveness increases. So as a business manager, what is our simple strategy? Simple. I'm sure it is. We have to ensure that none of our consignments cross the limit of 11.96. Or let's put it this way. Let's see the moisture level that we have got, and let's only choose the consignments if possible. Of course, if it is not possible, all these things are not useful, but I am sure it is possible that henceforth we will only be talking about the consignments which are having the moisture less than 11.96. By the way, you could look at it differently as well. So come over here and say that defectiveness to decrease. We want to decrease defectiveness. Defectiveness to decrease 11.96. Moisture should be less than 11.96, and that's a plain simple business decision which has come out of such a simple analysis. By the way, tell me, where did we write a single line of code? But it has done what in machine learning generally we say supervised machine learning. What is in the background is logistic regression, classification and regression trees. I'm sure a lot of algorithms, lot of data manipulations, lot of data management has happened in over there, but we are here looking out at the best possible results that we are getting in. By the way, I said we'll come to this particular thing again, so let's go back to the insights over here. This is not all. It has given us something more as well. Let's therefore go to the second one called as top segments. Okay, it says, if it were to have a name, which I'm sure in the future it will be like a sci-fi, it may even come out and say that, hey Vineet, look, your data has got 3 segments, and those particular 3 segments are interesting, have a look at them. So I say, okay, show me the segment 1. He said there is a segment 1 over there, and this particular segment 1 is those observations in your data set that I found them, which were defectiveness was more than 0, that means there was a defectiveness, but it was less than 7.75. A segment which was where the defectiveness was less than 7.75, and you will notice outturn was at least 2.5 units higher than the average. That means this particular group of consignments that I got gave me 2.49 or 2.5 units of higher outturn over the normal things. Second segment has given me 2.04, and the second segment is 7.75 to 8.9, and the third segment is defectiveness is less than 10 and greater than 8.9, so 9 and above. So what it means over here is very simple. If we are able to keep our defectiveness less than 7.75, we shall get outturn of 2.5 units in each case. By the way, for those of you who are familiar with machine learning, probably you might be aware of it. These are the different leaves that we get in our decision trees. We haven't built it, but somebody in the background, somewhere in the background, this was built. By the way, how do we look at it in the second case? Look at these particular top segments, and it says that I could find only one top segment. Let's see what that segment is. It says a segment 1 in which moisture was less than 11.96, your overall defectiveness was at least 3.15%, not percent, 3.15 units lower than the average. So simple thing, just put your focus on the moisture. That will take care of your defects. Defects will take care of your outturn, and in just a plain simple workflow, without knowing anything more in this field, we have done this job as well. Well, my purpose for taking this example was just a small demonstration. Certain things deliberately I have left it halfway through. What you can do over here is, you can also take other parameters. For example, you can take parameter over here called as nut count. Nut count will tell you whether the defectiveness is more in the smaller nuts or in the bigger nuts. You can even go back and see the moment you start trying it out, there are a variety of possibilities. Instead of calling these months over here as months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can say Jan, you can say February, March, April, May, and etc. And you can even use that to find out where the moisture is higher in which type of months. Well, a completely made Power BI visualization is linked down over there as well. You can get it, but the proof of the pudding is in eating. Try it out and you will notice there are a lot of things, fun part, which can actually give you a leading edge, a massive leading edge in your strategic decision making. But this was one example. I will take a second one quickly. And what we'll do over here is, right now I don't want to save it, so I will not save this particular one over here. I will take the example over here, a kind of a semi-artificial, semi-natural data set about certain flights, like for example Delhi-Bangalore flight in the month of June on the day Wednesday, etc., etc. And we have got over here the details about delay classification. Flight was on time, there was no delay, that means flight was minor delay, had a minor delay, flight had a major delay. So we had the delay, and our job is to find out. We have to find out, right? Our job is to find out what causes delays. Yeah. And to actually arrive at a problem, we have got a data set, a typical aviation data set, where we presume that our causes could be like this. The flight itself, destination origin pair itself, may be a delay causing pair. Maybe both the airports at both the ends may cause delay. So is the flight a culprit in causing delay? Is a month, we have got a data of only few months, is a month a major detrimental factor for the delays? Day of the week, those who fly regularly, of course not with the COVID-19 around now, but those who fly regularly know that certain days of the week the flights are, rather the congestion is far more, certain days it is not. Number of previous flights before this flight, because see, for the airlines, a simple economics. Aircraft on ground does not earn money, aircraft in air earns money, and therefore you have to have the aircraft in the air as much as possible. Now, to keep aircraft in the air as much as possible, you have to have multiple flights planned with the same aircraft. Now, if you plan multiple flights with same aircraft, how many flights before that aircraft flies for the next flight? If there are too many flights, one delay over there can be causal factor. So, how many previous flights it had? How much was the time gap between the previous flight? Origin volume, traffic, origin traffic at the place of origin, origin out volume, incoming traffic, outgoing traffic, numbers are normalized. We don't have to worry about that, but that's a traffic. Destination volume in, destination volume out, origin rainfall, precipitation, origin average wind speed, origin wind gust, quick movement of wind if at all, origin fog, was there a fog or not, origin thunder, destination precipitation, etc., etc. So we have got over here all these particular details, weather related, and we want to find out, does anything out of this cause impact? Okay. By the way, we will not do that, but I am sure you might have noticed certain variables over here like thunder is 0 and 1. Keeping it in 0 and 1 number format is not good. We could make it yes or no, but at this moment our job was to see how quickly one can arrive at the results. So, as usual, 3 steps, quick steps. Number 1, start with Power BI. We will connect our data set to Power BI. This time we will not do any visualization, we will directly visualize the causes for the delay. Yeah, okay. So we shall get our data from Excel. Data is in airlines delay. Okay, it's in the table form. By the way, what I will do over here is, I will take one step different than what I had taken earlier. Remember, I said that fog is 0 and 1. Rather than calling it yes and no, I will actually make them 0 means no, 1 means yes, by making them categorical. Okay, how do I do that? Just say transform data. One step, small step, but probably the results quality must be much better. Most of these things are okay from the data point of view, but origin fog. Now this is considering this as a number. We say that no, don't consider this as number, consider this as a text. We say replace. Okay. Similarly, origin thunder, instead of 0, 1, we say that consider this as text, replace current. I think there will be 2 more for the destination fog and destination thunder. Okay. Actually, the data set also has got total delay in minutes, which were converted over here. So basically both these columns are same, but we will use only the delay classification. Now everything looks to be okay. Such a simple thing. Now I say close. Now it has got my data. It will bring the data on this side. Once the data comes in over here, next question. Tell me what causes delays. That's it. So our next question. I am sure you should do some visualization to find out which route has got how much delay, etc., etc. But let's get our quick insights. Let's get our quick insights over here. So we will say analyze delay class, delay classification. Yeah. Analyze delay classification on the basis of day of the week, destination fog, destination average wind, destination volume in other words, we'll take all. We shall not leave a single thing. Let me be just careful because we should not end up with a mess. Previous slide. Okay. We shall not take, of course, total delay because total delay is nothing but delay classification. Wow. Well, I am sure we don't require any soothsayer to tell us how to interpret this. It says, what influences delay classification to be major delay primarily is destination precipitation. So if the destination precipitation is 71 to 81, the chances of delay are very high, 5 times higher than if the precipitation is not as high as that. Incidentally, more than 81, but here you must be also aware of it, that number of data points between more than 81 and between 71 to 81 could be different, and because of that it has not come. But generally what it means is, higher the rainfall at destination between 71 to 81, it has got chances of delay 5 times as much compared to if the rainfall is not as high. Well, previous flight gap is 29 or less can delay the flight 2.5 times more, 2.5 more number of times it can delay. So a lesser the flight gap, chances are delay in more. If the previous flight gap is 63 to 65, in that case the chances are lesser compared to the earlier one, but still there are chances. Origin precipitation, yes, plays an important role. Origin out volume plays an important role, but now if you notice, most of them are very close to each other. One distinct factor that we got to note here is the destination precipitation and previous flight gap. Two quick factors it has brought out. By the way, let's look at now top segments. Let's look at now top segments. Let's look at the segment over here, and in itself, it's a major revelation, and the revelation is this. Look at it this way. Segment 1, which is origin precipitation is greater than 36 and origin wind gust is greater than 23, combination of that. If there is a combination of this, in that case, the chances of major delay is 35%, while average chances are 16. So if I know two things now, origin precipitation is more than 36 and origin wind gust is more than 23 or 24, I know there is a 35% chance that the flight will be delayed. Hey, wait, we have got furthermore. Let's click on this. I tell you, this amazes me to no bounds. It has told me that under this segment, major delays, Wednesdays have got major delays, while Mondays, same segment. By the way, the segment is not changing. Which segment? Origin precipitation greater than 36 and the origin wind gust is greater than 23. If this is true and if it is Monday, no delays will happen. Rather, the no delays is much higher. Well, on Friday, the delay may happen. So, for this segment itself, now look at this. To arrive at that, I am sure it wouldn't have been that difficult, but it would have taken certainly a lot of time to arrive at this, that there is a segment which has got substantially higher delay, but even if that segment is involved on Monday, the delay is not there. Now, that is something we are getting on the day of the week. We are getting it in terms of destination fog. If there is a fog, there is no delay. That means the fog apparently doesn't really create delays. If there is no fog, the delay is as it is. So therefore the delay and fog seems to be not connected. Well, look at Bangalore-Bombay flights. In this segment, there are major delays and minor no delays, almost equal. Bombay-Bangalore flight, however, no delays. Bombay-Bangalore, reaching Bangalore. Bangalore-Bombay, there are major delays. Bombay-Bangalore, there are not major delays. There are more of a no delays. Interesting. That means destination is a Bangalore. Flight is arriving to Bangalore. In that case, the delay seems to be much lower. Bangalore, Delhi. Let's have a look at it. The delay seems to be lower. Bangalore to Delhi. Now, for each of the variable that we have got analysis, and each of this gives us a tremendous insight onto the data. And you might have noticed that machine learning is a lot of work to arrive at a model and then slog to get the insights out of it. Now, what this tool is doing, prima facie, looking at it, is it takes away that toil of working very hard on the data and building a model. It just makes a model and makes it available. By the way, this was just an attempt to bring to the domain managers, the decision makers, that machine learning is not some mumbo jumbo that you have to learn Python or R or any of those programming languages. Machine learning is about insights, and there are tools available which are doing this particular job as well. This is maybe a beginning, but I do not know. I would like to have a look at your feedback on this. If you wish, I would like to take more data of this type, more real data coming from the real industry to analyze, to see the insights. Maybe I will take data on which some people have already built the models like Kaggle. We can take a couple of good contests from Kaggle and can have a look at it. But please have a look at this particular one. Please try it out. And if you wish we to have more discussions on this, I will be very happy to take up few more videos on certain problems of different nature, where we can go and explore a machine learning model along with this model and compare it and see that did we do it right or where did the things go wrong. But let me give you a heads up on that all the data sets I have handled so far from the real businesses, from my clients, what I have handled on this, like what we have done now, and what I have done with machine learning in the background, I haven't found out anything which is greatly deficient. If I come across, I will not only bring it to your attention, I will bring it to the attention of the community as well. But as of now, I haven't got any complaints about it saying that this is not being done, that is not being done. Of course, to do, there are thousands of things that can be done, but whatever is being done is perfectly all right. Thank you very much. We shall stop over here at this moment, and we shall take with the new videos if required. We shall take it up with that. Meanwhile, if you have got any comments, please do not hesitate to write down your comments over there. Please do not also hesitate to share this particular video. Well, I am not into the subscriptions and number of views and etc., but definitely would be very happy to have these particular videos shared so that we can have a kind of a community where we can work out these particular things up. This video stops over here, and we shall again catch up in future. Thank you.